is a presentation of MRE UNO, Division 1. A week ago, he lived up to the name, the Brazilian Badass. He not only packed Watch Johnson and put him in the packing containers and shipping containers, but he's back on the table on another Monday afternoon. This time at the proper time. Last week was different. And for Cesar, it's been hit or miss. This round historically has been hit or miss. A round one bullet, but he's taken too many bullets in round two. He's going to try to change that for the better. And then enter a rookie who took care of a super leaguer in Nam. Sure, that game went to 7 and it was nearly a 3-0 blown lead. But Goldie found the clutch gene and took care of business in Game 7. But to go into the eyes of the badass in the storm they call Jay Cesar will not be easy today. A lot rides on this game. The Gryffindor region's up next. Let's get it on a Monday afternoon, President's Day weekend. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Jay Cesar vs. Goldie. We got a massive day in store, 4 games on the docket. And I want to, first, before we get to the schedule, I want to apologize for any issues last night technically with the bot and a little bit of some other nonsense. We are good now. Some issues happened. Crazy weather out here at the HQ for the boss. We're good now. Hopefully it'll be the last of it for at least a little bit before things get wild at the end of the week. Let's get into that schedule, though. Gryffindor region, Jay Cesar, Goldie, going to put on a show right now. At 2 o'clock, approximately, of course, Aria versus Lee in our first ever all-female battle. Winner of that game will get Mr. Yepes. Winner, no matter who wins that game, will be on the road. Loser goes fishing and waits. And then the next 9 to 16 will be the Ravenclaw region, the kickoff game for round 2. Ravenclaw, hard to believe you haven't got one of those games yet. We'll get that one going at 4. Short's going to take over. I'm only doing 2 today after some issues. And then Stingray versus Camaro, 8 o'clock, the nightcap. That'll be with JT as JT makes his round 2 entrance back onto the stream floor. Well, how do we get here? And this region's been wild. Let's start it off with the Friday night of all time in one of the weirdest but yet craziest special games in the heart of Chomik as he took care of business against Retchford, who is absolutely insane with the composure. Different type of game here today. It's going to be one game at a time and a lot more simplicity and mindset for both players. They know the drill. Winner gets Chomik. No matter who wins this game, it's all on Chomik because he'll be the home team. Remember, Ashley's still alive in this region. The only 1 seed left after Tapir lost. She still controls the region and the deck on winning March. Let's go into the scene. And today, joining me, we got a couple special guests here. Obviously, normally I would go to my co-commentator, Yoshi, but I want to shout out a special guy, man. He's been in this league for now 2 years, so I want to give Vapor the opening word here. Vape, Yoshi's going to be joining me in the commentary booth. The players, of course, Goldie, Cesar, and Sanford's also going to help out. But Vapor, it's your special day. I don't believe you've ever commentated or refed or in general been a part of a production on your birthday. I know the first March Madness, you didn't even show up, mainly because this was one of the reasons why, because it was your B-Day weekend. But I want to give you the opening words, man, as a class gesture. Go ahead and explain the importance, not just your birthday, but this matchup here, what we're going to see. Go ahead, even though you're the ref today. Go ahead. I'll give you the floor.
I mean, well, this is a huge game here. We have 6-14. This is something that you don't see regularly. The 14 getting the upset over the 3, but obviously this is going to be a really fun matchup between a master and a rookie here. And this means a lot for both people. If Cesar loses, it means that, hey, maybe he's not all that he's cracked up to be this season. But if Goldie loses, and Cesar has a lot to keep up. But if Goldie wins, hey, maybe the rookie class is really good again this year.
Yeah, we'll talk about that rookie class in a little bit. I'll go over to Yoshi. As Yoshi, you've seen Goldie enough in D2. You know what Cesar can do. What are we expecting here today? Obviously, we know Cesar has this very methodical, yet he can be very sneaky style. Not maybe sneak attacks, but sneaky in terms of the gameplay. Goldie also very similar, but a little bit more ammo and creativity on the back end. What are you expecting here today?
Yeah, this is going to be likely a back and forth. You see two players who have really showed themselves in the first round. I mean, Cesar with the big sweep and Goldie with a big upset. I think this is one of those things where someone good is going to go out in the round of 32, and for Cesar, he doesn't want that to happen to him because has been happening so many times. But that's just what happens in this league. If he goes out here, it won't even be that much of a surprise because of what Goldie's been able to do. So, but yeah, he's got to put something to the table if he wants to get this done. Really try and use those sneaks to his advantage, and yeah, figure something out here because Goldie is not gonna let this go easy.
We'll go over to Charles Sanford. Thank you for that analysis, Yoshi. Sanford, obviously, you'll be more of our scoreboard guys, statistician today. We talk about the stats in this league. We talk about the new features. We know Jay Cesar is a guy that's had a lot of questions, right? We talk about, can he get past round two? Is it issues? We see internet things. You name it, Cesar's yet to get a big win. Maybe it's not the biggest win today if he does get the job done in terms of, oh my God, I beat some crazy player, right? He's beaten some great players in the past. But for him, it's about the confidence aspect. Talk to me about the confidence aspect, man. Especially early in the season when you're trying to get your sea legs under you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we saw last year, I think, basically the early season right now, you're just trying to beat anyone that you can, figure out, try and compile that resume of who you guys wins. I think for Cesar, one of the things would be maybe it's almost a precursor. If he can get the win here, the story's been he never beats anyone that's above quad 3 or 4. So if you lose to Cesar this early, it might be just a doom sentence that you're going to be one of the bottom 2 quads for the year. And if he does lose this, it might mean that Goldie's on for a stellar season, probably one of our top 18 players at the end.
Thank you, Sam, for those thoughts. We'll go over to both players. Obviously, both are going to type their answers. We'll start with the badass Jay Cesar himself. Cesar, well, you've been here multiple times in your career, man. You've had 13 wins in your career. It's been an illustrious career of success, but it's always been about just that next level, right? Get to that next step, to that next bridge. We know what Goldie's response is going to be to my question. So I want to know, how can you flip the script on this game? Instead of taking it one game at a time, how are you going to stay 2 steps ahead playing the ultimate one step at a time mindset? Go ahead. See what I did there, folks? That in the industry is called putting a question and then flipping it in reverse. So, Goldie, my question to you is a little bit different. We see a lot of these rookies losing. We see a lot of issues with maybe just understanding the nerves in the first round. Now you're in the second round. We know you're going to take it one step at a time. But now you're playing an opponent, even though Nam was a super leaguer. No disrespect to him. He's a great player. You're playing someone with the brand. Cesar is known as the brand, right? He has done so much for this league off the table, and he's a presence. How do you now control your emotions knowing you're playing a big brand instead of just Nam, who's a great player, but this guy's bigger than life to many people? And I think Sanford, as Sean joins us, that's different. When you play the likes of yourself, myself, JT, Cesar, Ashley's of the world, even Yepes, you play these big players, it means more. From a rookie perspective, especially as a rookie, you may not understand what Jay Cesar means in the moment. But as you start to understand him from a broader scope of the league, this guy does so much. How do you, let's say you're in Goldie's shoes, how do you compartmentalize that today and try to put your best foot forward, knowing you're playing a big brand like this? We talk about this in college football a lot too, at the brands.
I think for Goldie, what they're going to be able to look at is they've been able to now see, and it's one of the beauties of when you're in that mid to later part of the round in terms of games, they've been able to see that, okay, there's been some form of an adjustment period where now there's some footage on them for the D2 players, and we've seen that the first two D2 players that were promoted up this year that made to round 2 have both lost. Now, background, you could put an asterisk if you want, but at the end of the day, he still lost in back-to-back games after coming back after the break. And for hockey, just never was looked to get going. Basically, was overmatched from the get-go. So how can Goldie disguise what they were trying to do in round 1? What have they got as extra tricks up the sleeve, basically, to try and be able to get that win against Cesar here and try and prove that they're going to be one of the players to beat come this season?
All right, Charles Sanford will be on the scoreboard. Obviously, that's enough for him. We'll go to the comments here. I mean, obviously, it's one game at a time classic, but I had a new perspective here. I played against Tago over in, Grimland, yeah. Took me a second there for the first time. It was the first time I really started to understand play style. I think my goal is to watch and listen and just take me on the adventures that the badass delivers, right? Take me on that ride and roller coaster. Look for whoever's opening I can to move forward. Yeah, that's what you really got to do. I'm going to go out there and prove to Goldie what rookie nerves are really like. If I can get past a rookie like Goldie, who was up 3-0 against Nine at some point, there'll be a solid I can get over the hump and try to win. See, that's the difference, Sanford, in answers, right? You got one answer in Goldie, who's a rookie, as you expect, learning the ropes. And then you got this brand, right? You got Jay Cesar coming in here trying to show authority, right? Who's boss? And that's what I like about these crossover matchups. You don't see that a lot in other D1 versus D1 players, or let's say if you and me play, okay, we've both been here. What is there to expect? These guys have more on the line. That's what I talked about in the podcast with the Culture War. Today's ref will be Vapor. We will have a new protocol. We forgot to do it this round. I'm going to announce this real quick. Moving forward, starting round 3, assuming we have these refs know, we'll have the game set up and we can just start the game to save time. But for today, we'll just initialize the game. So for that, let's go to Vapor. Best of 7. Goldie's the road. Caesar's at home. Vapor, do the honors. Of course, the winning lottery numbers, I like to say, is 22111. That's double deuce, trips 1. And there we go. Make sure the spacing is right. Names look good. That's double deuce, trips 1 on the TI. Vapor's going to put that in. And for those most famous words in Uno, we'll down to Vapor. For Caesar's game, we'll go Vapor. Feel free to say those words. Happy birthday, my friend. Let's light the candle. Let's do it. All right, Vapor's going to do it. All right, type it out. It's fine. All right, let's go for the 5 on the right, 5 on the left. That's 10. Let's get it underway. Lighting the candle. President's Day. Happy birthday, Vapor. And we started off with none other than whatever you like. Oh, man. That's great for Cesar, man. And you got to think, Yoshi, off the free start, we saw this a lot with Cesar. He's been around the block. He knows what to expect on these free starts. I think he can either do two things. He can play aggressive as Sanford gets the scoreboard all lit up now, or he can take this a little conservative. I'm interested to see this first move. Usually these wild starts sets the tone early. Talk about the wild starts.
Yeah, it's a way to start off where, at least with something that you think you can work with, you have a game plan. It could be a color you want. It could be a color that you have only one card of. It's a strategy you kind of have to think about. It gives you more opportunity to develop which strategy you're going to go for.
Well, Jay, Cesar, and Goldie, they decided ditto into LaPlante. We go up to Yepez, 2 up. Yepez still remaining. We go to Lane. Lane's still remaining. We'll have Lane and Clay coming up in the Slytherin Region Sweet 16. Yepez awaits the winner, of course, of Leah and Aria. We'll go down to Nam. We'll go down to Andy. We'll see Andy today at 4 o'clock. We're getting all the promos in. Sanford just got to get those promos in, of course. Get it going. But right now, as we continue to do some promos, as we go to Monkey, who lost in 7, unfortunately, and we go down to Drip, the pace is quick. You can see Cesar, he's playing a little quicker. When do you think he starts to slow it down as the veteran? Because he's seen these faster paces and tends to slow it down. Thoughts on that?
I think he'll roll at the pace for right now. I think what he'll do is probably more save the pace management for if he gets down to a hole, or if he starts seeing that Goldie's getting close to Uno. That would be where I'd maybe see it. But early on, you kind of sometimes it's good to just keep that fast pace, not think about it too much, and just go with the flow.
Go with the flow as we go up to Camaro. We'll see hopefully him tonight, 8 o'clock. Never know with him. But, look at Yoshi. You got to think, you were at your game last night. Pace management as we go double Camaro. It's important in this league. We talk about these game one jitters, but game one's about feeling it out. How do you decipher pace when playing a player? Do you depend on the situation, or do you just say, I'm going to stick to a plan and then adapt as we go?
So I think it could be either one, right? I think it's a pace where you have to figure out like what really is the best move in this scenario. Is if my player is switching a lot, let me just ride with the colors, right? And that's what Ghost was able to do against me in game one.
Hold the phone. That's Jay Cesar with a triple play. And Sanford, that's the first shot of armor right there from Cesar with his own +2 to start the party on the ammo. And that's the first
game.
Warning
6
shot.
cards. There's a lot of ammo there.
Yeah, that's the warning shot. And that's sometimes that warning shot is interesting, right? Because now Goldie's exposed a little bit with that green wild. Now Cesar knows in the back of the mind, okay, that green wild is huge. That's a quint play and a half for sure.
Spacing issue.
Yeah, massive spacing. Yep. We'll get that fixed. All right. That's why I always say just, and then, of course, you can just put B. You don't even need to put the blue. It's still that spacing, man. It's just learning. It's the rookie vibes, right? You're trying to feel it out. You got Jay Cesar. We're all good to help here. Now the question becomes, if you're Cesar Sanford, right, posing this question back to you, you see that vulnerability. That green wild's now left in the open. Do you almost fade that off to the end, or do you risk possibly maybe a +2 now is set the other way because you gave all those cards in return? Thoughts on that, how you try to decipher that green knowing the wild's exposed like that in the case of Cesar?
Well, for me, it comes down to what's in your hand. Do you need the green to finish? Are you trying to... do you need to stay away from green altogether anyway? That's really what I'm looking for if I'm Cesar. He's got the 2-card advantage right now, 5-7. It just comes down to what is in his hand and what does he need to finish this game off to get the game 1 win.
We're setting it up, of course, trying to understand these players' mindset. And there's Jay Cesar not wasting time. Yoshi, you can see he's playing this aggressive but yet calculated Uno, right? You look at the CH, that strips out, and that's a huge +2 from Cesar. Now he can run with this as Goldie's fresh out of blue.
Is this check?
Jay Cesar looking for check, or is he light the candle on game 1? Here we go. He's done a good job so far. That's check.
Oh, yeah.
That
might have been his... To me, that might have been his last card.
Oh, the crossover, though. I don't think Cesar's got any response to that. No shot.
No. A part of me thinks that red wild was his last card before the +4. Hence why he went for that +6. But, wait. Oh, no, he draws. Okay.
No, Cesar didn't have it. Only way he would have had it is if he played some little fool's gold.
Well, and I don't mind that either, though, because it gives him the 2 cards back. So, and didn't end it off on the +2 at least, so all good.
And Cesar, and we talk about possession arrow, Sanford. He's got a pretty good possession arrow lead. He's up 4 possessions here. Maybe gets a top deck to keep it that way. Even still, you can play with the pace a little bit too on the possessions, and that's the nice thing about this bot. You have the access to the old bot. Maybe you don't do that, but with this bot, with all the tools, you can play that possession arrow. I know sometimes in your games, hey, if I got the pace advantage, I got the possession arrow in my favor, a couple possessions. Why not play with that a little bit? For sure.
Well, and the interesting thing as well, a little bit less of availability of getting off of the yellow with the 4 than there was with the 9. Actually, never mind, it's the same exact because there's one other 9, there's one other 4 played. But, there's a 6. That's interesting. So still the same availability of getting off of it. There's 6 other ones in the deck of the 6s, so.
Well, right now, you got to look at this. The pace advantage we talked about is now dwindled. Yoshi is, once again, Cesar had it, but now he might get a jailbreak. That's big, because now Cesar can run this knowing the green's still in the back of his mind. It could be exposed, and we're on a new color. Let's see how he plays this one here as we go into M from Steven. Cesar loads up, looking for a play. He'll go into bad Brad. And now Cesar will have to look at this and say, okay, the blue was a little bit exposed earlier from Goldie, was drawn. Was this a fake ISO play? Does he try to go for the switch here, or does he play it cool and content? He'll play it content. And you got to think, Yoshi, if you have a two-color deficit, and that's interesting now because the green is back in Goldie's favor. If you're Cesar, you got to think, slow the game down here. Now we're on that green, play it a little bit cleaner, but then you got to think, slow it down. Right? Now that green's an exposed play, how do you run it? And there it is, Sanford, with the +2. I was saying earlier, what if that was in return? There's the answer. It may have been in return. We'll have to ask that question.
Yeah, finding...
That ties us up at 6. Sorry, Yoshi, my bad.
That's fine.
You go ahead, Yoshi.
Okay. Yeah, like finding that switch into green, it's tough because you know that if you haven't been able to get... Oh, wow. If you haven't been able to get to a color for a while, you would expect the other player to also have it, even though you really wanted the color earlier. And they're both going to be content to draw on this yellow. And I think that this is the goal of both players, to extend the game to avoid the other player winning. And definitely shows that they got the skills to make this a competitive matchup.
Definitely have the skills to make it a competitive matchup. I want to shout out all the fans for coming in here today. Appreciate you guys on a Monday morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate that a lot. As we go to Draw City, we started this game off with the old 10-pack, 5 on right, 5 on left. But right now it's been nothing but wild flushes and a lot of control. Couple Draw Cities. You haven't missed much. Still game 1. We'll go to Charles Sanford. We'll do that a little. Or actually, we'll go to Vapor. Vapor, go ahead and do that Uno log for the fans. I see the clock, but if you want to go for the fans, hit that Uno log up. Go for it. Yeah, almost 9 minutes. And Sanford, this is the endurance battle. We talk about these games. Jay Cesar, his whole career's been endurance, man. And he started this league all the way back in May 23. He's been here before. Goldie just started her journey here in D2 last year and then just moved up to D1 25. Talk to me about the endurance battle from a rookie perspective and then from a veteran perspective as well in Cesar and how those games manage in this course of time.
Well, from the veteran aspect of it, I think one of the things to try and do with an endurance battle is try and see just how composed your opponent's going to be, because we've seen players that have had success that just don't like draw cities. They don't like when no one's playing a card. I will say it does become a little bit stale, just because after X number of cards. But it is interesting to try and figure out how well both players can handle it. From a veteran aspect, it's just trying to see, can the opponent handle it? Goldie, for rookie, showing well that they were able to. We got the switch off to red there. The interesting part was being stuck on the 5. There was no green 5s available, and we've also used up all 4 normal wilds. So there was definitely less of options of getting off of that, so it's an interesting card to be stuck on.
Yeah, 2+2s left in this red. Of course, in the blue and green, that's that. If you got to think for Jay Cesar, you saw those green +2s, your own card, off the board. It comes down to this percentage, Sanford and Yoshi, and that's the most important thing I've been seeing with this spot. It's percentage. When we start to get into ammo exhaustion wars, which we've seen plenty of now as we cross the 10-minute mark here, that's when the skill comes into it. Now you start checking your card history. Now you check the table more. Now you start even checking maybe stats and seeing where the trends could start to go in a game. And I think this is what Cesar's trying to do, is put Goldie in this box to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't have to rush it now. The ammo's starting to wear off the board. It's dwindling down as we go to cap. That makes a difference compared to, let's say, the first 2 minutes of the game when everything's open. Talk to me about when you get into an ammo exhaustion war, Yoshi. How your mindset shifts from, oh my God, here we go. You're cracked out, but then you got to start taking it back. More of that tortoise first hair. Take that tortoise approach.
Yeah, like it depends on, because it's always possible that they could have something. I feel like good players tend to have like at least like 1 or 2 cards at the back end saved at any moment. So yeah, I mean, it's still going to be a battle of the numbers in the mid game to really find that run to the finish. But Cesar might have it here actually, but we'll see. Never mind.
No, I was going to say there was a reason why you switched to red there, Sanford. I was just thinking in my head that last +2 for red hadn't been used. That's why Goldie made the break off the trips 3, which goes as follows from Radin to Andy to Kev into you on a double up. We'll go down to Tapir, 3 down, as I said, from Knight to Tapir. And that's the chess match as we go up to DJ, who will make his debut at 2 o'clock here in the commentating booth. That's the chess match, Sanford, of making those switches. Now Cesar's out. But does Goldie try to switch right here and get Cesar back in the game, or is she to be content to go draw C? That's the chess match when you start to lose that ammo, as she'll play a double knight the last 2 out of 3 turns. Talk to me about the play now for Cesar. If he's stuck on red, how does he get out of this pickle?
Well, I think for Cesar, it's one of those, can he get the skip or reverse? Because that's the one action card we haven't seen out of red. We haven't seen any of those reverses. We haven't seen any of the skips. In fact, we've only seen 2 reverses total. We've only seen 2 skips total. So there's still plenty of those in the deck. But I think for both players, again, you're going to be fine to draw if the other person's drawing as well.
Oh.
Because you're trying to get that connector that Goldie just got.
Yeah, that's the connector, Sanford, for sure. Goldie down to 2. Cesar, though, has an opportunity. We talked about green +2s are gone, but we do have that coveted reverse skip action, which we know is a meta in this league now. Let's see if Cesar saves some. Wild cards are obviously maybe not the worst in terms of the regular wild, but the +4s are always out there. He's going to make a bold play to blue. Okay.
Well, the +4s are the only wilds we've got left. We've used all 4 normals.
If Goldie Goldie could finish it with 1.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Oh my goodness!
I was about to say that may have not mattered, because you got to think the problem is you see the percentages, and at some point someone's holding back as Sanford will light the scoreboard up 1-0 and Goldie there. Cesar gets possession. I'm going to ask Cesar. Cesar, you did a great job with the undertaking, but you got beat out on one of the things that I know personally I hate to lose on. It's the wild flush. Right? Talk to me about making that break on that wild red and then getting out flushed on a yellow. How do you try to, maybe not counteract that, but how do you try to put that in your game plan knowing, hey, I didn't see that wild card for most of the game until we got to that flush moment where it was just one play, then you played the second, she played the third. How do you try to adjust knowing the wild flushes is one of your aspects of your game that you got to work on, especially against a rookie? Sanford, real quick, getting a complaint here. Make sure you put the power plays at 1. Thank you to that who pointed that. Appreciate that. You're the man. But let me go to Goldie now. Goldie, obviously, I have to ask one question. It was lingering on the back of my mind. When Cesar gave you that +2 to get to Uno in the green when he started and kicked it off with his own card, did you get a +2 in return first? Was that an eye for an eye? You got the +2 in return? As Cesar types it, you can go scroll back up. Okay, so that was a save play. Got you. All right, so now I'll ask you this question, right? I got you. You may not know all the strategies, right? And there's an old adage with rookies: you don't know what you don't know, right? You go out there, you learn, you adapt. But how have you been able to learn the Cesar's not only pace but his ammo control usage? You did a good job against Nam learning that ammo control usage, but if you look at the stats against Nam, it was more dominant in your category. Sure, only 1 +4 was used, right? But how do you adjust to knowing that you understand a little bit of the percentages of Uno in a sense that he's playing a little bit more heavy on the ammo compared to the past game against Nam where you had most of it? So how do you adjust game to game knowing the ammo is different? Of course, to the stats people at home, remember the first wild, it was a wild card, so that's why it's only 3 wilds used, of course, to start the game. But she gave me that +4 on the wild, and that was my last card, was a red 8. Not too miffed about this one because it's a great feeler for me. Wild flush stings, but I delayed pretty much to now because I was getting good ammo late game. And that's interesting from the veteran. We'll go to Sanford here. You know, a lot of players may not say things about their hands, but Cesar just admitted, he said he had a red 8. I have to believe he was telling the truth. This isn't me or you who, whenever we say stuff post-game, go ahead and figure it out, right? Or Ashley or other people, go ahead and figure. This guy's telling the truth. Do you think there's something in the post-game mindset for Cesar to say, I'm going to be honest as possible, right? It's game 1, and then he saves some of those back-end tricks for later? Talk me through that.
Well, and I think you're right. I think it's being truthful. And to be fair, it's one of those things of why lie about red 8? Of all the cards that you could lie about, why lie about red 8? So Yeah, I think he's probably being truthful on it. Um, and it's one of those things. It's hindsight when you have those double cards. Like you're playing a percentage play again, like you've said. Do you want to, and what do you want to get beat on? So it's one of those risks as well. Just even playing the blue way and hoping that Goldie didn't have just number efficiency. So you win some, you lose some with that. I don't think Cesar's going to be too worried about it, unless maybe he loses by like one game at the end.
Right, and Goldie said the ammo's tricky for the time. You just got to think about the ammo when it comes in relation to the lower card. And that's the thing, It was a mid-tier start, right? We dragged this thing out 14 minutes, and that's a good feeler. Usually you want a game one that lasts more than 5 minutes. This is the ultimate feeler. When it lasts more than 10 minutes, or sometimes even 20 in some aspects, you got everything you wanted. How do you adjust it if you're both players? For Goldie with the ammo timing and Cesar maybe with a little bit more control at the end, especially since he got the ammo late in the game. How do you adjust that, considering he was the guy to make that late switch, even though it really wouldn't have mattered, considering Goldie saved the blue and the green skip?
Yeah, it's about going with the hands that you have. Sometimes you just gotta go for the win, and sometimes it'll work out and sometimes it won't. Cesar, I guess, going big on that wild, I think it was a good idea because I think because considering one wild was already flushed from the beginning of the game, like he was definitely playing the numbers there. Unfortunately, it wasn't in his favor, and I really cannot blame him for that move. So really, he's just gotta, I guess it's a matter of reading the room. Like, does he think Goldie has a wild, and that's what he's got to focus on. Because, I mean, unfortunately, playing the numbers game is not going to work out for you every single time. And Goldie had an interesting situation there where she couldn't finish the game, but she was able to get to whatever top deck that she got was able to give her the win there, because she was originally drawing and then found the triple play to green. So it's definitely a situation where you just need one card that can connect everything for the win, and I feel like that's something a lot of people rely on. So it's definitely a good strategy to think about it in a case where you have stuff to work with, but you just got to find that one connector.
Well, we'll see what the connection will be here for Jay Cesar. Appreciate that analysis. Let's go to game two. Vapor will do the same thing for Cesar. It's his birthday. Go ahead, man. All you today. It's your day. You can say those most famous words. It's the old school, man. It's the old school, giving it back, bringing it around town to the people to say that was most famous. And we'll go 12-pack for the man, Jay Cesar. Let's light the candle again for game two. It's in the building on 12. We'll see Andy at 4 o'clock later. That's only fitting. All right. Well, now the question becomes, we've had the endurance battle. When's that Plan A game going to happen? There's always one in the series. Cesar now understands control. He's feeling out the process. Let's see what kind of pace he uses here, and more importantly, with the less crazier start on a wild with the regular number card, Sanford. We see a lot of players go for the early switch. We see a lot of players go for the more controlled route. If you're Lane Sanders and Yepez, you take a power play in game 1 or 2. Those are probably the two guys I know to do it early. What's your strategy here if you're Jay Cesar? Probably too early for power play as he goes for that quick double to set the tone right here early, considering it's not an action to start.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not looking at the power play here, but I mean, we have some players that they don't like it, so they use it early. I would say that if comes a point where I know it's a little early for desperation, but at the same time, if there's a point where you can tell that you have the run and you sense the idea that Goldie was going to have a run as well, I might be willing to use the power play to avoid going down 2-0 on your own homestand. Goldie, for sure, no reason to use it up 1-0 with the homestand to come, but for Cesar, I could see a case where it might be possible to use it here.
Cesar running with the yellows now. Goldie goes back to blue, and that's a big moment here, Sanford. A little test play. You know about that well. Let's see if he passes the test. Jay Cesar, does he have five efficiency to make a trips 5 from Sting to JT? Is there a DJ Curtis in hand? No, we go to LaPlante. We need the DJ for the rainbow. Let's see if we get it. No, we'll go one down to Cap. And that's a big sequence there now for Yoshi because Goldie now has an advantage in the sense that Cesar may be either fading that blue or he's straight out. And there it is again, Sanford. The same +2 to kick off game 1. His own card kicks us off on the ammo right there. Now
yeah, for sure.
Go for it.
Yeah, right. Like that is the 50-50 you see with the isolating the blue or getting avoiding the blue rather.
Oh, split ammo. Little Chomik throwing it back to Chomik and Allen. Those two guys really good with the split ammo, and that's interesting, Sanford, because it forces the switch. This is maybe what Cesar needs.
Well, not only did it force a switch, it also opens Pandora's box. That was the last color we were looking for. We've played 3 of the 8 8s in the deck. There's the 4th.
He was going for the ditto, but he's going for the switch either way. So that's interesting timing there. Cesar looking for check. It'd be the second time this series. He'd be the first one to check if he can do it. Remember, he faded that blue off. That's the one thing we have to keep in mind. We know Brock is very familiar with the fade, and using that last card he didn't play as a blue or whatever color he proceeded to fade off of at the start. Cesar loads up. He loads up in the holster. Looking to tie the game, or is it just a simple check? I'll sign it later. Takes his time, uses that pace management, thinks this one through. And Sanford, you got to think this could be a wild play he's learning from, or more importantly, he's got to make the right switch with the card history. I think those are the two options for him right here if he has another switch in the back pocket.
Okay.
Plays the number efficiency, maybe. And if you're Goldie here at this rate, thank you, boy. Appreciate that. Got to play the right number. Cesar, does he go and light the candle game 2? He does. No blue. Ooh. Telling the truth. Comes back to not bite him this time. It matters. And it's Jay Cesar, who would have originally finished the game in game 1 on a red 8 as we tie it up. Let's go to Cesar here real quick. Cesar, that's the game we were looking for, man. You know, you were looking for that quicker game. You played a little bit of that vintage Allen, Chomik split ammo right there, the +2s. Talk to me about the decision on playing a little bit of that split ammo and not giving the 6 cards. And a little bit, do you think the numbers went into your favor? Because realistically, if you had no blues, you won this game on 3 colors. Was that a little bit of a case how you read the game? You decide, I've seen these 3 numbered colors before. I'm going to play a little bit of aggressive, but not too aggressive. And talk to me about what you learned using a little bit of split ammo, which we do know is famous with Chomik and Allen. Goldie, obviously, you don't know Chomik and Allen that well, but that's your first taste of a style Cesar can put to the party. How do you adjust now knowing that Cesar's played this split ammo style and the game was a little quicker, where you were getting a little too aggressive on it? Could you have held off on that red switch? What was the theory behind that red switch, considering blue was a vulnerable color? And Sanford, I'll go to you before I go to Yoshi real quick. That's the thing, right? From a rookie perspective, you see the blue not being there, but you know in the back of your mind when you watch games, you see games, there's a billion styles. What if that was a true Brock fade where the blue was the last card, right? Do you guess that style? Or do you say, hey, you know what? I roll the dice. You go for the gamble and say, let's try to maybe go to red, but have a +2. But if she doesn't have anything, lots of numbers, no ammo, do you think Draw City would have been the better move there? What's your thoughts on that? Sanford? All right, same question to Yoshi. I think Sanford might have stepped out of the room. Your thoughts on that, my buddy?
So yeah, I wasn't paying attention because it wasn't my question. Just real quick.
Okay. Well, I'll sum it up again. I mean, how do you basically? I'll give you a different question. That was for Sanford. How do you analyze then both players in terms of what their styles have been? We've seen the long game for Goldie win that one. Now Cesar finishing on back-to-back reds if he would have closed out game 1. There seems to be tendencies. Do you think Goldie could have maybe tried to draw City there, or do you think you go for the gap? You know, you can't really do much. I got to know you push the paint. What's the mindset between going for the gap and then also knowing when to play a little bit more conservative?
Yeah, I think, you know, it started to become clear to me Goldie didn't have any ammo, especially when Caesar was at 2 and Goldie didn't play anything. So to me, it was a matter of picking the right color in a way, or just hoping that the game didn't end and if Caesar had any ammo himself. Uh, Unfortunately, yeah, she could have controlled that game and forced the draw on green because. But yeah, I think taking the gamble on red not always a bad idea. Because sometimes maybe you may not have a color, even though it hasn't been played yet. You may not have that color. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where you sometimes sometimes you gotta just play with the draws, and it in some situations drawing is better than playing at all. And uh, I think Goldie, maybe needs to focus on that a little bit more. The play style from Caesar is definitely working here. Just playing with what he's got. I mean, it was a pretty low ammo game. Getting those switches at the right time, and then also just running it down, trying to force out that blue early and make Goldie think, oh, does he have blue or not? And was trying to play that game and didn't work. I mean, I don't know if Goldie had a chance to switch at any point during those reds, but
Yeah, I mean, and Caesar says it right here. Could have went to that green early on the plan A, but he decided to go plan B instead. It worked out. And that's the thing, right? With that one draw Caesar did off that initial get-go, you never know what he could have got there, and that could have actually benefited him in the long run playing that plan B. And sometimes you just got to ditch plan A and go plan B for sure. And then Goldie said, how much do you risk, right? You take a switch, in this case red. Okay, that's great, but do you try to go a little bit too aggressive with the switch and then play a draw city where maybe it just doesn't work out in your favor? And that's the ebb and flow of how to get these games going. Sanford, are you back?
Yeah, I'm still here. I just didn't hear the question, actually, there. I was a little distracted.
Oh, I know where I'm at. We'll get you on the rebound. Just go ahead and flip the scoreboard to game 3. No worries, my friend. No problem, Vapor. I got you, man. We got, I believe, backup would be... actually, we can pull anybody. Ard, we can pull anyone from the... We got so many great people here. So you're good to go in 40. But we'll keep it for you right now, my friend. We'll go to game 3. It's Goldie's turn. Go ahead and do the honors, my man. Just no 10. Yeah, no 10. We'll split the difference. 10, 11, 12. Started off game 3. We'll go into a bad Brad Blue Deuce to begin game 3. Right through the middle, split the gap. We'll find out who will have a banana split at the end of game 3. We'll go up to Nick right here. And you gotta think, she's sticking with that theme of little ice cream, right? You start to wonder, there's 3 different flavors that everyone loves, chocolate, strawberry, vanilla. Where do you think this game is turning into right now? We're not at vanilla. Don't think we're at that chocolate stage. You think we're in that strawberry stage where we're just right in the middle, finding the sweet spot of both players?
yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm seeing there. I don't really have much to add there. It's a good analogy.
That's what we do.
Seeing
Here,
very
Charles
confused.
Sanford. That's what we do, man. That's what it's all about in this league. Find the right analogies for each game, making it a little fun. And when we go into a Sting Camaro combo, which we'll see at 8 o'clock tonight, 5 PST, with JT on stream, that's what it's all about. As there's the first move from Jason, and that's, once again, Sanford, it's almost like I'm getting deja vu. It's the same red 8 combo Caesar's doing. He's sticking to those certain number packages, which is interesting.
Not only that, but that's a huge chain to throw out there to go and get down to 5 into that red zone that we usually like to talk about. Less people bring it up right now than before, but he is into that danger zone basically for trying to end a series, especially when you can throw out 4 cards like that.
Jay Caesar's laid the gun. He's going aggressive here. This is Tago City right here, Goldie, Yoshi, because Goldie's got to react, and you can see it's Caesar, and it's working. The Tago City's working, man. That light switch, he's going effective, playing it a little aggressive, and he's getting into that rookie's head. Let's see what he can do right here. Jay Caesar in the red zone, as we like to say, with the 4 commands. And he's going for it, Sanford.
Ooh, okay.
He's going for it. Jay Caesar going the distance right here. Goes back to red on a crossover. Goldie's gonna go
Does
with...
have a green.
Okay.
Spelled
Clip
it
play.
wrong.
Little clip play. There you go. Yeah, little clip play. Back to Seth. Ashley to Seth. Let's see if Caesar's got anything. Smart says Caesar. That's that's the classic J. Caesar on the Wilds. We know that context for sure.
I mean that might have been a case where, look, like Goldie was willing to draw there, not using a wild or anything, and waited for that wild to then counter the wild. This is what I was talking about. Goldie maybe should be more willing to draw.
Mistake as well.
Was that a rare mistake, or did I think Caesar probably didn't think the Uno table was going to be a thing. Goldie's the only player I've seen do that, to be honest. Put the table in public, so Caesar may have jumped the gun, and he gets the switch back.
Oh,
number
my goodness.
efficiency. Peter on Jack would be proud. Yeah, we're good. We got Sanford's my dedicated table checker. Appreciate the public check though for sure. It's a nice thing I got.
Now, So it comes down to, did that draw stop Caesar from the finish? Because he only got one draw, and no, it didn't.
No, it didn't. Jay Caesar is back in the building, and I've got to say, Caesar, that was a little bit of shades of C-Tago right there, and then you played a little aggression. One thing I'm noticing, man, with your game style already is about the creativity. You look at the reverses and skips on the stats here. You started the game with basically no reverses, and you've won this game basically on a reverse skip meta. You played a lot of similar number packages. Are you starting to understand the game flow a little bit better? Okay. Are you starting to understand the game flow a little bit better, considering you now have won the last 2 games where it's been under 5 minutes, where it's not plan A directly, because you kind of got the wild flush, but you're starting to turn some more of those plan B C's that are working a little bit better than your plan A's. Thoughts on that? And Sanford, I go to you. As Goldie basically said, I had a couple green posts I was just about to ask. Because I don't really have much of a question, because the only thing I can really say is you did everything right. You just had no blue, so it was a 3-color game. Again, getting flushed by was no bueno. It was malo, but I had a backup, and to be honest, I got lucky that Goldie played that green one. And I was just about to say, Sanford, sometimes right there, I know I do it. You play that wild, you classic it, right? You go to a KT Classic, at that rate, no shots, Caesar's playing a card. You take the risk to classic it. Maybe not every turn, but you play a couple classics and you hope to build some of that in the back end. Talk to me about maybe Goldie once again jumping the gun just a slight bit and Caesar having a little advantage on the switches. Ultimately, his plan B working out in his favor. It's very minor, but that's the only thing I'm seeing for sure.
Well, she admitted it as much. Just kind of got unlucky with the number. Don't know what else she had. If one of those situations where also either when the person drew, or when Caesar played the draw by accident and jumped the gun, either drawing in that situation, or if they had if they're being truthful about the +2, that might have been a good situation of play at least one of the +2s and then the green one. That way, at least if he does swap off of it, you've given yourself at least some leeway, knowing full well that he was within 5 cards. Because obviously she does check the table a lot, so it's good to know when your opponent's getting close. And just maybe having that presence of mind to know when the run could be coming.
It's all about the reads, right, Yoshi? And right now, it's a lot more... With this spot, I'm noticing it's a lot more package reading. You have to understand each player's what they're going to be putting out. You try to understand the package, the game flow. But for Jay Caesar right now, he's not winning at all on wild flushes, right? In fact, in his mind, he's getting beat. He hates to get beat on that, but in the old days, you get beat on a wild flush, your day is over. This guy hasn't had a single +4 and is using other ways to win, basically +2 meta. Talk to me about in this bot how it's crazy where you can win games with no +4s, but then have another category where it just clicks versus an older package we use where, well, my day's over. I see someone's got 3 +4s in their hand. Usually that's all she wrote, right? But in this spot, it's a lot more ways to be creative and win games. Talk to me about how you have to learn and adjust this early into the season.
Yeah, really thinking about it's it's something where you think about these games and how many of them went 7. It's always bound to be close if both players work with what they got as best as they can. And I think, yeah, Cesar knew that there wasn't any +4s, but just having just all those numbers and or having all those skips and reverses. I mean, it seemed like there was a good chance he was gonna get it done if everything went his way. And you know, and then finding that number, it can come down to that, just playing the wrong number, and then there's nothing else you could do about it. And it's funny because when Ghost beat me, I mean, the only +4 he got was a top deck +4. So really, he kind of, we see these many players who can win without +4s, and it comes down to a game where some games you don't have any +4s, and even if you win games with +4s, it doesn't mean you can win the series, because it's best of 7 at the end of the day.
Right, that's the ebb and flow, and that's one thing, Sanford. We talk about the rookie. Remember, last year, the old bot, you really couldn't have you couldn't have a big chain. It was only at 2. It was capped at 2. Now with 4, and in some cases, we've seen people do 8, 9 card runs. Not all the time. 8, 9 card runs. We talk about the red zone. Yeah, last year the red zone was 2 cards, right? 2, 3. Now it's 4, 6, even 7 card red zone. Right, you just don't know anymore. It can crescendo at any point. That's the ebb and the flow of the leagues. For D1, everyone knows how to do an 8 card run. Right? There's no slave. Everyone's, KT, why are you giving Brian all this credit? KT, Eric, Monica. Well, they took those players 7, right? And that just shows you up here, you can write someone off, but you might think they're a tax write-off, but at the end of the day, they're a tax refund. Right? You're going to get a refund in the mail. And that's the difference between the ebb and the flow of D1, D2, right? You have a lot of people up here like Jay Cesar that know what a run is. They understand the flow. And then you got people down there that are playing more that singular approach. Jay Cesar, out of everybody here too, I mean, he had to test everybody. Right, Sanford? How do you think the testing abilities of Cesar, who's tested probably Goldie and, let's face it, almost 75% of this league, how does that come back in his favor knowing he has so many reps in his bot where practice almost becomes, not a deterrent, but almost becomes optional for him at this rate?
Well, I think, for one, it allows him to know what the bot's possible of. And having all those practice games, it never hurts to have more practice. But at the same time, when it comes to those tests, so many times it's someone hides a look, someone doesn't show you everything. So you're still having to try and figure out, yeah, you get maybe a little bit of extra game footage, but how much of that is being truthful to what they're doing, or how much have they learned since that point to be able to showcase to you in the match? And that's what Cesar, I think, has to still worry about. But he's doing a good job. He's up 2-1. And now, whereas I was mentioning Cesar might want to use the power play in game 2, now it's on the other foot. Goldie might be looking at that power play and saying, you know what, using it in game 4 to tie it up might not be the worst case scenario there either.
Well, let's find out that decision. Game 4 for that. Once again, it's down to Vapor on the table for the decision. Here we go. Once again, no 10. Let's see what Goldie will pick. We split it in the middle here. We're sticking on this mid-tier, upward mid-tier with the 12 and 11. We'll go 9 special. We've seen Nam do this. We've seen many players do this as we go into a hockey +2. Good tournament from hockey. Lost to Yepes, but got a lot of experience taking care of DJ Curtis in the first round. And Sanford's another action tier stir, but this time, unlike Cesar on the Wild, now Goldie decides to pace. We've seen people try double +2s here. Do you think that's a smart move? I know you and me, we would never think about that, but do you think you try to go crazy right here?
I mean, considering Goldie's in or coming from D2, where that move's probably a little bit more used, maybe. Obviously, it has to have a +2 in their hand to be able to do it. Doesn't do it here, and I don't think that's the worst case. It's not what I would do even if I had it most times, unless I'm really at a disadvantage on like +2s and trying just to do something.
Well, Jay Caesar,
And
nothing
that's
on red.
exactly why. I want to see. I want to see, does the opponent have that color usually, first and foremost.
Yeah, it's the same school of thought for sure. And Yoshi, now Caesar, we talked about this. He was iced down to blue the previous game, and then 2 minutes later he wins the game. And that's the beauty thing is you can jailbreak your opponent at any time, and there it is. I say that, there's the jailbreak. Let's see what Caesar will do here on the green. Talk to me about the jailbreak and when to play it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I think it's worth going for if you feel like it's worth. I mean, it's a calculated risk that it could go either way, and I think Goldie is going to be full on with this aggression now. And you either got to go full on and do it, or just play it safe and draw back. And I think that's what Goldie's trying to do here. Go full force on this aggression when possible.
Jay Caesar runs into it with the yellow line.
Red zone.
Oh, that's a heat check. That's a heat check, Sanford. Let's see if Caesar tries to flush the wild and saves it right here. He's been flushed multiple times today. He's going to do it. There's the flush. Oh, boy. Caesar learned lessons from game one.
Card takes the lead.
Yeah, that's huge. And Sanford, that's huge. That's a confidence builder as Cody Smart joins us because he's been flushed all game. And the wild cards, the regular wilds, have been the proponent on winning and losing games so far and making momentum. Let's see how Goldie tries to react to this momentum. And once again, Caesar avoids the blue, keeping that Pandora's in check, which is interesting. Back to red. Oh, my goodness.
Unbelievable, man.
Did she get the wild off the +2? That's an interesting one.
Write that one down. Sanford's going to ask that in the post game. Good read there. Caesar's out. And once again, Sanford, we're basically masking that blue again. Let's see who's going to be the first one.
Oh my. Finish.
That is crazy. There's the blue. Well, go ahead, Sanford. Ask that. You can ask that question then. It's all you on that.
Okay.
All right. Goldie, gotta ask, did you get the second wild off the +2, or was that +2 one of the +4s that you got in that 4-card run?
Oh, that's brutal.
These are hung on to a +4. No.
That's brutal. He had the ammo to basically cope with it, too.
2 wilds. Oh, the second +4 came from the +2.
Oh, that's a brutal one. That's a tough way to lose. In Sanford, you could see both players. You can't even blame the bot there, right? Because if both players had the ammo, at the end of the day, it came down to timing, and Caesar held on to it. That's the one thing Caesar
still yet to play a +4 through 4 games.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And you got to wonder there, Yosh, you think about it, we talk about the mindset, right? I'm not winning with the +4s. It must be the same game. I must be in the Matrix right here. I'm thinking, let me save it to the end. I can win without it, but you sometimes get too overconfident or you get too patient. We see this a lot with a lot of players, especially in round one. You can get away with it. Let's face it. There's a reason why Sean Ard, KT, JT, most of the guys that win round one, you can play that style of getting away with the +4 way into the end. Now as you go into round two and you don't have them early and you don't play one, you start to get into your own mind and say, oh, maybe I can win it. But then you go for the long shot, as Cesar said before we get to you. Should have known that switchback throw was one giant, and I paid the price. Yeah.
To me,
go for it.
Yeah, this is the big reason why I struggle to even get out of this round, because that's kind of the decisions I need to think about making, right? It's what makes this round so difficult. You get into these players who it's hard to read what they have, and it's hard to figure out what is the best move here. Because obviously having a +4 at the back end seems like, you wouldn't think that they'd have more than that, and they do. And I don't know. Cesar, a mistake like that, it's something that I feel like most people will make at some point, like not using all their ammo and trying to save it. This is something that happened to me in in last night's series. So I really don't blame him. It's just a miscalculation.
Miscalculation, yeah. I really
And both players have admitted to making the mistake. So it's one of those, again, it's knowing when that opponent's going to have the run. Like when, I hate to bring it up, but it's like knowing Kamara had the run, knowing to use that power play, knowing that your opponent, just being able to sense it. And that's what makes the difference between some of the top players and the mid-tier usually sometimes. And it's one of those things that Cesar's, in hindsight, sure, yeah, should have played it. Did he? But clearly just was lacking a little bit in that sense of knowing what Goldie was going to have. And that's been one of the things that's killed him.
Micro margins. That's what Sanford's saying. And that's the thing with this league, man. It's micro margins. We go to Game 5. Sanford will flip it back to Cesar here in a second on the scoreboard. It's the micro margins, guys, and that's what we're trying to paint the picture at. I'm trying this new commentary style. It's one thing I'm trying to adapt to, giving you guys more insight, giving you a little bit more play-by-play, a little bit less of the fireworks, because we'll say that for Game 7s, usually 6 and 7s. But we're trying to build up to that crescendo moment, get these guys more involved. And as we start to understand the meta, we start to understand 30, 40, 50, 60, maybe 1,000 play styles at this rate, and the bots meta is up to 1,000. It becomes a little bit more of a box we're opening up and we're trying to expand. So that's interesting as we go into a crucial Game 5. We know how Game 5s are at 2-2. Let's see what it's going to be. Vapor will take the word. Cesar, no 12 and 11. Vapor, go ahead and ask the cards, though, my friend. All right, my man. Thank you. Cesar's got a big decision. We've only been into the mid-tier. We're going to go upper tier. This is straight upper tier now. Double OG 14. Here we go, Sanford. First warning shot from Jay Cesar, man. This is big. We go to a Pack Zero who we beat last week. Now we're going to figure out where the lines are.
The cherry zero sugar.
Zero sugar, www.drinkmeasure.com. And now we're going to understand the lines because right here, Sanford, I can barely get a breath and he's putting the pace up. You can see Cesar says, you know what? I'm pissed. I'm losing on my famous wild flushes. Oh, that's a first mistake from the Cesar, man. Jay Cesar with a rare mistake. That's the pressure, man. That's the pressure we're talking about. Even the guy like Jay Cesar, bulletproof. He can make a mistake. Into a Vapor G6.
I mean, you got lucky that the red 6 didn't play.
Yeah, Jay Cesar. Oh, man. But you know what? He's going to shake it off.
Zero sugar switch, too, if he wanted it.
He had plenty of options. Jay Cesar playing with fire right now, I think, Sanford, as we go to Pack 5, or Plant 5, and that's interesting. Cesar playing with fire is something we have yet to see with this game. It's been more, this series really, he's been playing more conservative, and this is where the ace of spades I talked about in Game 2, where he may not be showing his cards. He's starting to show them now, and this is big. You know,
it's about the adjustments you make.
Yeah, I was just about that one. Okay, you stole it there. I was just about to say the adjustments made, and I think the adjustments made is Cesar's going to start to ramp the pace. He's going for it, Sanford. This is Cesar now. He said, you know what? Gloves are off. Let's force these switches back as we open up Pandora's box.
Okay.
Sorry. I was going to say, Goldie's definitely been the one to swap more. 7 more color swaps from Goldie than...
Wow.
Go for it.
It's... To be honest, you make switches like that, it kind of surprises me to see a draw from the opponent, but sometimes it's like, it's one of those things where, it's worth the risk. We haven't seen yellow all game. Let me see if Cesar's got it, and he didn't there.
Well, he gets, once again, deja vu. We saw the same exact triple trio. The only difference was, instead of the monkey 3, it was the blue 3. And we got a quad 4-pack, but it's not the rainbow. That's a classic move. That's a KT classic. Get it back to red. Play the numbers game right there. Cesar, can he roll with the red still? Goldie can cope with it. Now it's starting to turn. You know what, Sanford? We know each other. The feeling process is over as we double up and Sapir. They're going for it now. There's a +2.
And you got to. Best of 3, 1 power play each. You know it can happen at any point. Getting that 3-2 lead, definitely the spot you want to be in. I think power plays online for both players really at this point. Even if you're one of those that likes to save it as your final finishing move, the idea of just having that control and being up 3-2 can definitely make it way worth
Oh,
it.
there it is. There it is, Sanford. Caesar's first plus
Okay.
4 of the series as we go back to blue.
Color swap, though, again from Goldie.
Goldie's aggressive on the swap. Caesar trying to control the pace. He gives an extra plus 4. Here he comes loading up. We talk about the red zone. Well, he's in it.
As well.
What's that?
Caesar in the red zone as well.
He's in it. Here he comes. We have seen, well, in this case, 5-card change become almost like drinking water. Here comes Caesar. Double play. Is he out? Does Goldie test the blue?
Or does Goldie think there's a split ammo play?
Chomik, Allen, of course, the 2 players with that. We'll see Allen on Thursday night in the round finale. Chomik moved on. There's a switch
Goldie
back to
definitely thought a
red.
split ammo play.
That's a possible end around. Can Caesar cope on number of fish? Does he have a chance? Looks for a possible number of fish play. Did he go for the split ammo? Here he goes. Loads up. He's out. Great end around. But it's a back to yellow.
That's
Goldie
a
aggressive
choice.
again. Does it free Caesar? Is
That's
it
a
one too many
choice.
switches? Oh, a top
Oh,
deck. Had to be a top deck. You gotta think, right? Yo, she gotta be a top deck,
It's his
right?
first +4 on the board at least.
Second.
oh my God, what's happening now?
That's just beautiful. That's just raw number. But he fades it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Caesar with the fade. Back to crazy switching. Is it one too many or is this just enough? Caesar, it's not one too many. My God, that's a crazy sequence, Sanford.
But now, does Goldie go for a class? No, had a +2. Okay, I don't mind it then.
Good move, because what if you top deck another +4? Caesar's starting to get the +4, so you try to factor that in. But does he get 2 freshies, and are they good fresh tires? Let's find out for Jay. Jay loading up, looking for a possible
Nearing the
double
5-minute
erase.
mark of Game 5.
That was a crazy sequence, yo. You don't see that ever. We're basically banking on a color switch versus the aggression on just trying to get to the win. It's crazy, but that's
And
how it
just
worked
like
there.
as we calm our own voices down, Caesar calming it down with a slowdown of pace.
Good move there. We all need a breath. Thank you, buddy. But we'll see what he does. He's got to think about the card history now. Let's reset, right? Saw that crazy sequence. How do you reset from that wild,
And
especially?
if he's looking at card history, the thing to notice, there's only 3 4s played. If he has a 3, there's very few 3s left because they're both out of red. And then there's only 1 left in green, so
Everything open on
Could be.
yellow. Everything open on yellow on that reverse skip meta, too. That's something to keep in mind.
yeah. 8s would be limited, stuff like that. That might be ways taken into account.
If you're just joining us late, you've missed a hell of a show. We have seen everything and anything in this game and this series, really. Both guys
Well,
have
he's
put it.
loading up. I mean, he's been typing a lot.
He's going for it!
I was thinking he was gonna do it.
You
Yeah.
gotta go for the gap. You can't hate
That's
this
what
move.
he was mapping out.
I don't hate this move. You gotta go for it. Into the creator. Jay Caesar looking for the 3-2. He loads up. This is gonna be a patented 4-card run to the finish. And that's it. Jay Caesar, own card. I don't even mind it. Because you gotta think about this, Sanford. We see this a lot with I think the one guy who almost has basically done this style more than anyone in the games I've watched or have looked back on tape has been insane Lane Train Sanders. He is one of the guys that will use that power play early, and Yepez. But Lane especially. So I'll go to Caesar. Caesar, I gotta think, man, because you were roughing that Lane game. Was this a Lane thing you saw from maybe the game against Bowtie and decided to put in your back arsenal? Because I remember you texted me after reffing that game. It was a crazy game too. And you learned some things. So what was the theory behind that power play? Was it just, hey, you know what? Why give Goldie +6 in return? Give Goldie +6 in return. And then maybe risk a +4. So how have you been able to adapt other people's power play style? And your thoughts on the crazy sequence right there. That was an insane sequence where the switching kept going.
Yeah, I kind of figured he already kind of answered what was the logic behind the power play.
All right, so I'll go to a different question here then. You now see the game becoming more of a switch fest, right? You're switching, you started to get the +4 rhythm. You learned from the last game, hey, you got to play him. You got 2 this time. How do you try to manage the pace and manage your composure knowing one player in Goldie is just going for those switches every time, trying to prevent the draw city, but in your case, you're forcing and flushing ammo back to hope the game neutralizes? And I'll go to Goldie here. Goldie, you've been very aggressive on the switching. Is this a case of, hey, you know what? I don't want to go into draw city, and force it back into the player's hand of Cesar where he may get all the top decks? Talk to me about how you've been really sticking with that aggressive switching, how you're going to make the comeback. I'll go to Sanford. Are you not entertained, first off, and your thoughts on just the chess match of switching versus using that ammo under control of timing from Cesar? Because that's now the new styles we're seeing in that last game, really the last two games, starting to take over, especially for Goldie with the switching.
Well, I think for Goldie is a little bit too much color swapping in hindsight. I'm definitely entertained. I mean, it doesn't take much to get me entertained with some of these matches, as long as we don't have just repeated and repeated draw cities. Like, I'm all for draw city when I'm a player. Not the best thing when you're watching them, especially because you don't know what's really going on behind the scenes of it. But very even match series. I mean, you look at Goldie, only 2 less cards played. Goldie also 2 extra cards drawn, in a sense, so there's your difference, really. So both players very evenly matched, and look like we're headed towards a Game 7.
Oh, man, it's been a classic, Yoshi. Now, we go into this game. You were here last night, right? You were down 3-2. I believe you went for the 6-pack. You rolled the dice right. You played a little roulette, and guess what? It didn't work out, but you got the data. How do you approach this down 3-2, knowing you have the card start? Do you try to play the dice and play that percentage? You know, Sanford would do that as well. Or do you think you stay maybe somewhere in that mid-tier and try to find a balancing act, considering Cesar has basically dominated the upper tier? 3 out of his potential 4 wins here have been upper tier. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, the thing is with rolling the dice is, it's a thing where, I did it at Game 7 against G. It worked out. I did it at Game 6 against Ghost. It didn't work out. So you have to. It is truly a gamble. Like there's really no two ways about it. And I think something that could influence your decision here is how looking at the stats and seeing where the cards have lied. I feel like if you've gotten some of the hands, maybe going low isn't the best move because if in the case of Whiplash happens, the other player is more likely to get the ammo. So I think Goldie, and especially this is a different situation because Goldie has power play while Cesar does not. I was never even able to take the lead against Ghost in my series, but this is back and forth. So to me, this is a matter of, I think Goldie just should look into just picking a card start that's nothing. You could go for the full send. You could go for maybe like a 7 or 8, but like nothing too low because I feel like you have power play, but I don't know if it's worth the risk because there is always that a 4-card chain will finish it off. So and you won't be able to power play in response to that. So it's really gonna. I think it's a matter of playing this safe here.
Playing it safe, patience versus aggression, risk versus reward. Let's find out on the table what Goldie's risk versus reward ratio will be. It's all about the clutch gene now. For that, we'll go into Vapor for the Game 6. And Goldie, you know the drill. No 10, no 9. What do we got? Big pivotal moment. Goldie going to think this one through. Let's see what she'll throw on the table. Cesar up 3-2, no power play. We missed one number. We're going to go for the OG full. Sam, for your thoughts on that? Keeping it upper tier. As we go into a Blue 6.
Oh, I had to make sure I get the scoreboard started. It's an interesting decision. Like you said, missed the 13 there. I actually counterpoint to what Yoshi said. I probably would have gone low just because we have seen it. At the very least, take your chances on the fact that the bot would favor you in that situation because a lot of times, I haven't done the stats on it. I haven't looked to see, but you're at least giving yourself a 50-50 shot that when you go from high to low, that you're the one that's going to get the ammo.
And one thing I'm noticing right here, and Caesar's going to kill me for this, but the one thing I'm noticing about what Caesar's doing is he's playing a very ticky-tacky style. I do this. Ashley does this a lot. Just because we just draw early don't mean we don't have it. And that's what Caesar's really doing right here. He's really playing this calculated approach. Come on, man. you ain't gonna get one up on me, man. Come on.
A lot of people are developing the strategy now. I mean,
Yeah, I got a camo with better. That's what it means. Thanks. But no, all joking aside, we know. What are you gonna do, right? You see, and Sanford, this is a really good adage, right? Because we see this a lot in the racing world.
I mean, you, me, KT, we all know each other too well.
Yeah, well, this is the CIA FBI. We're gonna see that with KT Drip hopefully Wednesday night. But as they're gonna go into a draw city, and I think this is the one good thing I was gonna point out. I'll go to Sanford. We see this in a lot of other sports. When someone does something and it's successful, you want to copy it, right? And that's the beauty of innovation. It's about you find that discovery and growth. But to really create that innovative thing, you've got to find something new. And you wonder who's going to do the next new thing. And right now, you look at the next new thing, I think it really could be, honest to God, that lane, genuine, early power play. But I think a lot of people may try that move very, very soon. Because you see it's working. He's getting to these big rounds, and he's saying, I don't care. Use it or you pez another one.
Well,
I wonder if that
lane,
comes in.
Yep, as well as on that strategy. So, yeah I think what it is it comes down to what is your comfort level with it. If you are uncomfortable with the power play, it's not the worst thing. Use it early, get a win on the board, and you never know what that momentum might do for you. That's, I think, where that strategy comes in clutch is sometimes you can rattle your opponent by getting that early win, especially if it's a game where maybe you steal it from them instead of where they had a run to the finish and you get the run first with the power play.
Cesar going to take his time right there, probably putting me in timeout after I blew up his plan, imploded it. But point is, but you know what, Yoshi, we talked about this. Goldie's trying to avoid these draw cities. It's 13 cards. Now I'm in one. Do you think that gives a psychological advantage to Cesar, who's been in these positions before, especially in these clutch moments, knowing, hey, I know what draw city is. I know what to expect. Goldie's trying to avoid it, looking for the switch. Do you think that's part of it, maybe playing Tago too in Grimland? Because we know Tago, the moment he sees a gap, you know he's switching. Sanford, you've seen him do it. I mean, he don't want anything to do with draws. He wants to switch. And that's just something to keep in mind. Your thoughts on that, Yoshi? Just the mentality there.
Yeah, I think the draw city is always...
Hold the phone. Sanford, that's a huge play from Cesar. He's just sent the warning shot.
Not only did he send a warning shot, he actually literally flipped the table. It was 14-11 Goldie in the lead. Now it's 11-14 Cesar in the lead.
Jay, Cesar is going aggressive, and he can start to smell it now, right, Sanford? Because, okay, I don't have the power play, but all the momentum, everything I'm trying is starting to work in his favor, and that is a scary thing if you're Goldie and how to try to stop that momentum. You wonder now if that +4 in the back pocket could be something. Here comes Cesar loading up. He's going with the split ammo, a la Chomik and Allen. We saw that earlier in Game 2 to get him the win. Here comes Goldie.
At that point, is it also just that little bit too soon?
Oh, my goodness.
End around. Now I'm famous for that. Let's see if Cesar's got the number efficiency, though. You got to think the number efficiency's coming, Sanford. Once again, Sanford, the reads are just too immaculate right here. You can see that from a mile away. Goldie's been missing the reads on the numbers. Cesar played that one perfectly, saying, hey, I'm going to potentially do a Brock fade to the end on the blue draw city. Let's see how Goldie responds right here. And that's the difference right now. Goldie just can't get the numbers to work. Cesar's been able to fade him off for sure.
Well, and that's a difficulty no matter how much experience you do, you're always playing a chance, even when you do a calculated risk on what it is. So early on, especially when you don't have green or yellow that were present at that point, you know that there's at least 4 of every single number that you're playing that are going to be out on the deck. So it's one of those things is you really can't fault it until you're later in the game and you have more data there.
Let's run out of green.
If Cesar's out of green, now the question becomes, did Goldie play the right number? Let's see.
Yes. Yeah, these numbers might decide everything. It decided game 4, I believe. Actually, it decided game 3.
Five other ones outside of the green.
And Sanford, this is we talk about. I know he's gonna hate me for saying this, but Peter Onjak is the one guy. He's really good at this, but the problem is that's basically his whole game. I think you need to have parts of Peter's game in the game, but you can't use that as the one-trick pony anymore. You try that.
It can't be your plan A.
Yeah,
No.
it's just not going to work anymore. You need to have about 20 built-in styles into your arsenal to win games, especially on stream games, because non-streams are different. As that's another big play from Cesar. He lights the candle, with this time with Goldie and himself. That's crazy. Now he's just showing off.
Down to 3 for Cesar, into that red zone.
Red zone for Jay. Here comes Goldie looking to fire back. Does she have another end-around play in her back sleeve? She's done really good with this earlier. Or does she say, you know what? Take the chances right here. Remember, Cesar cannot win the game on power. He's finished with the power play. He's done.
There's only 4 ways of swapping this, because there's no blue 5 left. Could have maybe reverse into green, or reverse, sorry, not reverse, a skip. There you go, +4 as well.
Okay.
That's what I was saying earlier. That +4, you got to play. If you can't take it home with you. It's like a timeout. You can't take that home with you. The question now becomes, as we go Ditto Brock.
Ditto play.
Yeah, we go Ditto Brock. How many more yellows does Cesar have, and how much more room does Goldie have to run this yellow? Cesar can run on this yellow pretty well right now. The question is, what was that fade look? Let's see. Goldie looking for a move, plays in the sting. Here comes Cesar again. Does he have more yellow?
Again, only 3 5s that were left there.
That's a telling sign right there. Cesar plays double grim. Is he out? Now it comes down to did Goldie play the right number? That's a telling sign. But he's going to go with the
Wait
sting.
a minute.
Boy, this
Again,
is
only 3 5s that you could switch off of here.
only 3-5. This is interesting. Let's see what happened from Goldie. Cesar, you got to think now at this rate, how many more yellows does he have in the tank? Because he's played the last 4 or 5 here thinking, okay, when's it going to be? And there's the switch. I was just thinking, end around in my head. Goldie goes for it. Does Cesar find the greens right here for the win? In the red zone. Jay Cesar, step back. Does he step back into a win from 3 downtown? Loads it up. Really taking his time, and now he's going to think this one through. Is it a load up to finish the game, or is he just making sure the commands are good? He goes into that number and fish.
Ooh.
The fishing has been
Now
great
does
for Cesar.
Goldie have a run?
He's been catching a lot of trout, but can Goldie go back and cross over? Decides the
All
power
right,
play.
let's see what this is.
Well, this could be a defensive measure, right? Just maybe not the winner, but just prevent it, right?
Yeah, that's what it could be, but wouldn't be surprised if Goldie had a run here.
Goldie looking to force the first game 7, and it will be the first game 7 of the round 32. Wow. Well, I have to go to Cesar there. Did you have a finish first off before that two card power play, or were you just banking on number of fish the whole game? Didn't want to risk the loss there. I mean, let's see. Now you gotta think Sanford Cesar ain't going to beat around the bush here. He's gonna start playing the games with the media right here. You gotta think he'll start playing the games a little bit. Now's the time to start playing those games if you're Jay Cesar. Nothing easy, says Vapor. We'll see, but he will. I think. Okay, Cody Smart. Vapor, you're dismissed.
Yeah,
man.
we are getting to that point of what he would have had his issues.
Yeah, you're good. Well, we got time.
Well, I mean, or
Well, yeah, it's game 7. All you gotta do, Cody Smart, is just do the same process as always. Just start the game and no worries. Anyway, we'll worry about that later. Well, with Cesar answers here, I'll go to Goldie. Goldie, obviously, you didn't want to take the risk. Hold on. So it wasn't probably no finish. I was thinking Sanford just banking on the efficiency. Didn't want to play it. Yeah, that's a good move. You know what? You got to play aggressive. You don't have a power play. At least you flushed it right. That's if you're Jay Cesar now. Let's go to Goldie. Goldie, obviously this game you were on the back foot. Cesar really had control with the +2s. Really control other than that 1 +4. Did this the first time all game where you maybe felt more content in Draw City? Like, did you feel more content in Draw City for the first time all series? Where you can accept the fact that, hey, you know what, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world, and sometimes you need that to gather momentum? And we'll go to Sanford. Now game 7 mindset. You've been in a billion game 7s, right? Let's just call it that. You've been here before. You were here with Camaro last round. How do you try to get an edge on your opponent knowing it's an equal game, right? There's no more power plays. There's no more special effects. It's just a straight down to the wire, man. What's your thoughts on this one?
In this situation, it's probably using what have we not seen and what do you know about the bot to your advantage in a way. Cesar does have the ability to know a little bit about the bot that might play to his advantage and at this point, game 7, you gotta try and use everything that you can that's in your advantage to try and win the series. So we haven't seen anything low. I almost think you have to go something low here. Just because we haven't seen anything lower than 9 yet so far. Granted, I say that knowing Cesar, it's likely going to be 15, but to me, I would definitely heavily consider something low.
We'll see. We're probably going to light the candle. We'll go to Yoshi real quick. Well, I forgot we do have another game. We got to keep this on a TV window. But your thoughts, Yoshi, real quick on this game set. Let's try to keep it quick. We do have another game. Vapor's right. We got to keep on.
It's anyone's game, man. Caesar is either going to go with a gamble or he's going to go with the full send because we have not seen that card start yet. That's what I'm thinking.
All right. Well, I'm going to do the honors because Vapor had to go light the candle himself on his 17th birthday. All right. Jay Caesar. I got it, Cody Smart. You're good, man. You can just type in it. I'll say the words. Jay Caesar. It's the last game, man. I think we all know what we want here, but we got to ask the question for prosperity purposes here. What do we got for the last game, my man? Are we going badass style? Put the sunglasses on, read them off as full, send on left and right glass. What are we thinking here? What's it going to be? Well, while we wait for the decision here, we all probably know it's coming. This has been a fantastic game. Great way to kick us off. We've had 4 games to start. This is our first of 4. First of 2 for me on the stream. Short's going to take over the next one at 4 after I go at 2. Okay. I think we know where we're headed, Sanford.
Yeah.
You knew it was coming. Full send it. It's Jay Caesar. It's the fans, man. You got to enjoy. And how about that?
It's 4 start?
Just like
Are
game
you
1 with
kidding me?
Just like the regular Wild End game, it all comes first circle on this bot, man. Every single thing about this bot is full circle. So now 3 plus 4 is to work with. That is insane.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Goldie there. The last thing you want to see if you're the away team on the game 7 is the plus 4.
Or a Wild even, yeah. We'll see.
Oh gosh, Caesar.
No, no way, man. No shot. You're a free choice guy. There's no
way you're doing that. You don't.
He's trolling. He's trolling. He's trolling. He's trolling. Come on, man. It's always free choice attire. You know this.
Sting would draw here. I know for a fact Sting would draw here.
Oh,
yes.
Sting would appear. But anyway, we'll go to the game now. Blue 4, Yoshi. Gotta think here. Sanford makes a good point. You gotta
color swap.
You gotta play aggressive. I don't even mind this now because you now lost the plus 4 that could be in his hand. You gotta play on the away side on a game 7. You see a plus 4. Your heart's 6.
There's nothing saying Goldie doesn't have blue either. So
right.
You know now that there's usually a reasoning why the player picks the color that they want. Sometimes that is you want to go and you know that's your biggest draw. Sometimes it's, okay, well, I've got easy play here. Maybe the other person doesn't. Something like that. So I don't mind it. It gets an easy color swap in there, and now we roll.
We roll. We go into it now. We go into a Radin 3 from Goldie. Cesar going to counter back. Let's see. He'll go up to LaPlante. Back and forth we go on blue and green to start off with. We'll go into Chomix green 8. Now the pace picks up. Gloves are off, says Jay Caesar. Goldie knows it as well. Half off special to cap. Yeah, the gloves are off, Sanford, now, right? Goldie's going to try to play a lot of switches if need be. Caesar's going to play the switches if need be. They know each other's boxes at this rate. The key is just who opens the box first and finds that red zone. There's the switch in Allen from Brian. Now we roll into Ghost. We're just rolling now. Now we're rolling the numbers. Where's the crescendo moment? Who's going to be the first one to really blink? We know Ard says it a lot with the color efficiency on the blink, but who's the first one to put that first action card down? That's a plus 2 that gives cards the other way. That's the key.
I was going to say, there's the mini blink. We did have the first action card in the reverse.
Let's see what will happen here. Red deuce. Goldie now looking for a possible switch here, maybe, or does she play it cool? Gotta think, Yoshi, the back and forth right here, the chess match of when to pull the trigger on the moves is important. Cesar up 2 cards right now. He has possession. That's a heat check right there. A little heat check.
Okay.
Nothing for Cesar.
Not bad. Cesar swapped off a green.
No KT Classic. Hard to
And a
switch
zero
on.
sugar play.
Hard to switch on that, too. That's a good move. Cesar with a top deck, potentially.
The second of the green threes.
I think, drawing there might be a good idea, even if he has it, because just, it's something you have to, like, read what Goldie's going to do, because we're not too low on cards yet. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Not the worst move.
Where maybe Cesar could have been somewhere where Cesar needed a card to try and connect either here or later on.
What's it going to be from Goldie right here? Taking her time. Cesar, obviously, he's content in Draw City. Right, he's content. No green, not a problem. Cesar loading up here. Still back and forth in draw. We saw this in Game 6, the first Draw City, where Goldie felt content. Not too out of pocket. Still going bad. Now, Sanford, it just depends who gets what on these draws. Cesar with the advantage on possession until we see otherwise.
Yeah, especially because they're tied right now. I mean, so it's interesting that whoever plays first is really going to have it.
Only difference is,
as long as both draw, they're going to be tied, and Goldie technically with the advantage on that regard.
Yep, Cesar would have to, if he does play, would have 2 possessions. Let's see. Here comes Goldie taking her time. Sign to when to make the break, really. There's the break.
Uh-huh.
In the red. Now the fireworks start them up. Start lighting the candles a little more. One at a time. Where's the explosion? Does Jay Cesar put a punch? No. Goes to DJ. We'll see him in 2
the other
o'clock.
DJ Curtis.
Commentating. We'll go up to red 8 now. In the background character, where will Cesar find the line? He's done a good job finding the line all day on ammo. Cesar looking for that high energy right now move. Does he have one? Goldie content to run these reds. Taking his time, Sanford and Yoshi. That's a big sign for Cesar. We knew it was coming. Yeah. There it is. That's the first kapow.
Huge lead.
Cesar into that yellow. Goldie gonna fire back, and I gotta think here, Yoshi. Cesar firing these early moves. That's partially mind games, but partially trying to push the pace in a Game 7 as we go ditto play in a bow tie. That's the part of a Game 7 that people may not understand. It's the pressure, but it's also understanding when to push the pace. That's how you win Game 7s for sure.
Yeah, I see that. Trying to put the opponent in a position where you have to predict. You have to take a gamble on: do I switch the color? Do I go aggressive? What's the move here?
There's the end around, and that's been Yoshi. I gotta say that's been Goldie's popular move, and Sanford, that end around play has worked for Goldie. The question is, it's the last card, these 8s, and Cesar's been favoring the 8s all game. Let's see if Lightning strikes for the 7th time. Let's see. Nobody has blue.
Speculative play though as well, because if you look at the danger being swapped off of with an 8, they've already played 2 of the other ones, so there really was only 4 8s left in the deck. So not a terrible card to switch to.
Not a terrible card at all. But Cesar is running these blues, unlike past end rounds.
He's getting close. So now it could be a race. It could be Goldie just waiting for that draw.
Forget the race. It's red zone time, Sanford. We're in that red zone right away.
Yeah.
Forget the race. It's red zone. Let's see if Cesar.
That's why Yoshi was meaning that he was getting close.
It's red zone time. That's why you say it. It's hammer time. Jay Cesar gets it done in the red zone. A crazy holy moly finish for the badass.
There you go.
Oh no! And that's the timing. And Cesar got bit with that earlier, right? We talked about that. Cesar, I gotta go to you, man. I think a little bit of lady luck on your side for sure. Absolutely, man, because that +4 off the start, you must have been thinking, oh, perfect, right? Because now at this rate, you don't have 4+4s to work with. One's off. Let's say Goldie has 1. You can almost play the +2 control, and that was Abion style to finish the game off. Your thoughts on just the Abion style winning that game, because you had 17 +2s, my man. That was pretty much what won you the game. That Abion style. How did you use a little bit of that Abion control to get the win in Game 7? You used about 7,000 styles. And your thoughts on just the crazy back and forth, man. Because you're going to be up against an opponent that you may not know in terms of, I guess, as friends, right? Chamik's an interesting opponent, but you do know this style because me and you were both good friends with Alan, the split ammo. And then the Goldie, I think you played your heart out today. You did a fantastic job, but ultimately you're going to look at just maybe a little bit of the timing and maybe understand the chains to pull off. Is that the one thing? Maybe a little more table awareness, a little bit more on the table awareness to clean up for a tournament too. I think everything else was all right. Maybe the switches, okay, you can pinpoint that. But Sanford, at this rate, you pinpoint switches. In this game, she switched every time, right? It wasn't a switch back from Cesar. It was a true play. It's just, unfortunately, the strength of table awareness, as she says, is the only thing that cost her today.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It comes with experience. It's not one where you would expect her to have it as of yet, but with time, she'll probably pick up on it and gets at least a solid. She gets a win on the board, and now you just gotta hope that Cesar keeps winning. Basically, is what Goldie's gotta hope for. For Cesar now, the opposite. Also hoping that Goldie starts winning, keeps making sure that win is a decent win and looks good on the resume.
Right, and then for
Because
Cesar,
that's where Cesar's problem's been always, is getting the key top 2 quad win.
you also have Pat Johnson EB, and that's another whole other debate. We won't even get into that. He's just got to regain his footing and get a win in the season. He hasn't got one yet. That's another thing we got to worry about. That's down the road, though. And Cesar basically said it's your ammo control. Goalie timed her ammo real well. Obviously, I got lucky, goes through mistakes. Played her heart out. And your thoughts, Cesar, your thoughts on playing Chamik next as we go to Yoshi. Your final thought, I know we got to keep it going, but your final thoughts on this game. Crazy series, a lot of back and forth. What was the ultimate difference today for Cesar to get it done?
I think they kind of summarized it well. Both players had situations where they saved some ammo, and they're like, "I think I got this win. I think I got it done." But then the other player comes through with the win for themselves, and now maybe another thing to think about is if Goldie didn't need to win the game with Game 6 with the power play, maybe she could have won without it. Could she have won this game with the power play? That could have also made a difference there. I mean, it's one of those things where you might have to look back at that, but obviously, I mean, of course,
Yeah,
taking
I was about
not.
to say. Yeah, because
That's definitely that's definitely a big thing that you're probably not even going to think about.
that was a good power play. I'm not even gonna. That's a great move. Think about it. If you can't take it home with you, what if you don't use it and Cesar finishes it off right there? Right? It's.
Yeah.
I think if you're Goldie, you'd rather go home losing knowing you used every piece of resource in the arsenal. If you go home with that power play in hand, it's like, damn. Right? And we've all been there. We didn't use that last piece. Right? Not exactly. And that's a veteran, right? Cesar remembers that he was up 3-2 on that game, had the power play locked, but he didn't use it, and he's probably still kicking himself, right? That's when you start to play more games, and Cesar knows this better than anyone else, Sanford and myself. We've been up there. We don't think about the ones we won. With the ones we won, we push it to the side. It's always that the ones we lost, we always think about what we could have done better, and it always stings, right? Doesn't matter if you have 113 wins like Sanford in the regular season, or Cesar, it's never been a Super League, the most illustrious player in history of this league. You think about those losses more than the wins. It's just human nature. But I think a good litmus test for Goldie for sure. Right? It's all about those losses, how you come back and bounce back up. Yeah, and you go for the gap that exists. If it works, great. If it doesn't, hey, you know what? It's Uno. I played my best out there against a top player. It's about the and that's and Sanford right there is the perfect epitome of a rookie versus a master, right? You think about how to finish the game, but you don't think about how do you isolate the game back. That's the ebb and flow as a rookie you have to learn and adjust to those muscle memory reps for sure. Want to make one last point about that muscle memory and about the comment I made where the losses sting more before we close out, and I'll get to the bracket. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, the hindsight factor is definitely where you learn more from. Just because with the wins, it's like, yeah, okay, could have played this differently, maybe gotten a win in a different format, in a different way. But you still got the win. It doesn't really matter as much of what you could have done differently. The losses is definitely where it's like, oh, okay, well, had I done that differently there, I could have easily won the series. Or sometimes it's looking back and just knowing, okay, looking back, I definitely tried my hardest. The bot didn't give me the cards I was needing at the times that was giving the opponent. And just being able to at least acknowledge, yeah, I didn't really have a way of winning the series. And sometimes just knowing pushing it to 7 was the best that you could have done in that series sometimes.
Right. And that's the first player to take it 7 in this round. Not the worst result. We'll go into the bracket real quick. It is now Chomik Cesar. It's going to be a good one. Obviously, Cesar knows the split ammo style. He's played many games with his good old buddy Allen, and Chomik is the one player that we know that knows how to do split ammo. Of course, Ashley still runs this region. The top half is crazy. We got Logan up there. We'll wait for either Ashley or Allen. This region's almost done. So it's either Ashley, Allen, Logan, Chomik, and Cesar. The final 4 or 5 left to be decided in the Gryffindor region. And we go into the schedule today. I just got informed short. Won't give me a fresh one, so we'll keep it going here. Cesar gets the win 4-3. Huge win. It's Aria Liga coming up at 2. Probably going to be delayed a little bit. Let's just be honest. It takes a little bit to get the turnover right. But that will be about 2:15 for sure. And then Andy Zach at 4 to kick off the Ravenclaw on a Monday afternoon. And then Sting Camaro to finish it up with JT. Hope and Camaro shows. We'll see how that one goes at 8 o'clock. Looking forward to that. For a crazy day of action, I want to thank both Cesar and Goldie for a fun day on the table. I want to thank Charles Sanford, our OG Ref Vapor, and Cody Smart putting a little janitorial work and cleaning up the mess Vapor made behind. Looking forward to that as well, to see more experiences from Vapor as a ref. Happy birthday to the man. For Yoshi in the commentary booth, for every single fan, thank you so much for all the support, guys. It means a lot. For Luke, of course, staying up late. Nam, Ard, and Stingray as well. Thank you, guys. But it was once again congratulations to Master Chef Cesar. He sliced and diced and found his way into the Sweet 16 once again and captures the flag on his 14th career series win. Stay tuned for the next game at 2:15. We'll see you there with the boss. First ever female matchup, Aurelia. Have a good one, guys. Stay well.